Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to this game's tutorial. So in this one, we actually start implementing the nice stats we've been working on for a while. So I know this is really small on your screen, but if you can tell, we basically have now real values for our damage, and we can actually level them up using a price list. So over here it cost me about too much gold to level up this damage, but if we just scroll down a little bit, go for the regen, at level 1 it cost me 153 gold, 236, and it just goes on like that. And we can also see the value incrementing here, and also the level as well. So we actually start implementing some real values, and if you have a really close look on the tower right now, and I increment the range, you can see it growing in size, which is what we've planned at the very beginning of this series. Alright guys, so we're going to be implementing that today, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so now that we've got values, we're going to start putting them inside of our actual game, but beforehand, I left a little bug in the last episode that I should have fixed, but I didn't. If we go right at the very beginning, it says we have a no reference exception, and we have that on pretty much the new script, so the stats helper right here. It pretty much says that stat helper.instance does not exist, which might be true depending on the script order, because this is run in a start. And in order for this to run properly, this line, then the start of the stat helper is you gotta be running first, basically. So to make sure that this runs first, we are going to turn this start into an awake, which is the same exact thing as the start, but is run before that. Now we should be able to actually boot our game and go back through the menu. Okay, so the goal of this episode is going to change all of these. The one you see over here, we're going to be changing all of these into actual values, and we're also going to be changing the title. Alright, and the way we're going to do this is by adding a new script on every single one of those. So I'm going to right click on the script folder, C# script, and I'm going to be calling this stat container, like so. Now if we actually open this up and we do the usual cleanup, then we save, we are going to go inside of the game scene. So where is it at? Over here. And let's actually open up the canvas. I'm going to move the recap menu because it's annoying me a little bit. And under the bottom UI, I'm going to turn off all of the panel except the stat panel. That's the one we're actually working on right now. Now let's expand them. And on every single one of those container, I am going to be putting the stat container script. Now what I'll do is simply delete all of those and actually just hit apply here. So this is a single entity, so this is a single stat helper prefab, and we are going to start just coding this one. So let's open it up inside of MonoDevelop, and the way we're going to be choosing the stat is by actually declaring a public stat, like so. Now what this is going to give us in the inspector is an actual field right here with the enum that we have, so damage, range, speed, hit point, and so on. And all we'll need to do, because I don't want to start drag and dropping every single text field in here, I think that's going to be quite annoying. The way we're going to do this instead is by declaring an array of text, and we're going to be filling it using the get component in children. Now in order to have an array of text, we need to start using the Unity engine.ui like this. And I'll make a private text array that I'll call text with an S. Now in the start, private void start, I will say text with an S is equal to get components with an S in children of type text. As simple as that. Now this is going to get us every single text component in the stat container. So let's have a quick look. There is none under the icon, there is one over here. So the first one in the array is going to be the stat title. Now if we go here in the button, there's another text, so the second one is going to be this text right here. And finally the third one is going to be the level. Now since I'm here, I'm also going to add the value, so I'll just quickly take the title, maybe make the height like 40, put it on best fit, and just reduce the width a little bit as well, so maybe 220. Now it's really hard to see in the video, I bet, but I'm basically just reducing the width to say 200 so it does not overlap with the level. And what I'm going to do now is actually just drag and drop it right about here, like so. So now I have some space to actually duplicate that and put the value. So this is now stat value. And instead of hit point, we're gonna have like a number, say 456. I don't know, something like that. Again, I will reduce the height a little bit, so maybe 30. Change the color to something that we can see well, maybe red again. Or maybe a gray-ish, orange, yellow. Does not really matter. Of course, we're going to be changing that in the end as well. Alright, let's go for a blue. Okay, so we got another text component. Now let's just go over this again once more. We have this text array that we do a get component in children, and we're getting all the text components. So the first one is the title, second one is the content of the button, third one is this red text over here, so the stat level, and the fourth one is the stat value. Now we've got our array. Our array should actually work just fine. We are going to do a private void update text function, not update text function. And inside of the update text function, first I'll put it inside the start, and what's going to happen is I'll simply update every single one of those text fields. Let's do int stat level is equal to the tower dot instance dot tower stats at the index int stat. Now this way we have the actual level of the stat, and after that we can say the first one was the title, so text with an S, like so. At the index 0, that's the title. So we can say text with an S dot text is equal to stat dot toString, which is going to take the actual string associated with this enum, with this number, and actually write it down. So in this case, damage. Okay, so that's for the title. Next one, text with an S at the index 1 dot text. That's the button content, if I remember correctly. So we're gonna say X amount of gold and then level up. So we need the actual amount of gold. Now we can get this by saying stats helper dot instance dot get price. Oh, is it public? Get price. I don't think it's public. Let's go back in the stat helper and let's have a look at the get price. Oh, we don't have in price array. That's right. Okay. So small mistake on my part. Let's actually keep going right here. I'm going to just put this in comment and we'll quickly make a price array after that. Okay, so let's just forget about this. Text at the index number 2, which is the third one, is the level of that stat. So we're going to say level dot plus stat level. And finally, text at the index, the third index, so the fourth one, that text is equal to stats helper dot instance dot get stat value. Get stat value, and we're sending in stat. Alright, let's actually try this out really quickly. If we go back inside of the preloader, it says we cannot convert a float to a string. And that is correct, so let's actually do a toString. Alright, let's go ahead and just hit play. So we have the damage over here. Damage is level 2, and it has a value of 2. Now if we were to modify the damage really quickly, now it's on level 2. I'm actually going to put it on, say, level 10. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to go in here, press play. Now damage is level 16 because I wrote it in hexadecimal, and the amount, the value, is 39. And we also need 100 gold to level up. Now that's where I forgot something quite important, is we don't have the price array. Now we could actually be putting the price the same exact number as this. So say at level 1 it's going to cost you 0 gold, and then at level 2 1 gold, and so on. But I don't think that's really good for balancing, so the price should be a lot higher. It should be scaling a lot higher than the actual stat value. Else, you're gonna end up with the last level, which should be really expensive, only being 12k. And that's definitely not something we'd like. So what we're gonna do right now is we're actually going to go back in the stats helper and declare a private const float and price values scale. Let's put that on, say, 15. We're also going to declare a private int array, price values array, new int of max scale level. And now in the awake, we generate a level value array. Let's also generate price values array, which is a function that we don't have yet. So we're going to simply take this, the whole thing here, copy and paste, and change the name, of course, so price value array. Now we're going to make sure that we change over here we have this I plus 1. We're actually going to start setting stuff at, say, that's I think a quarter of 300, so let's write 300 here, and then that's the price value scales. What else do we need to change? We just, oh, right here, the price value array. And also in debug.log we can also change the value over here, so we actually debug.log the price value array, but that's not really needed. That's only for looking at the actual chart down here, which is what I'm going to do. So that's the stats, that's fine. At one point you hit level 200 and that's max. Now the price over here starts at level 1. It's going to cost you 153 gold, which is fine, and then goes on to 236, 333, 23. Sorry about my English. And we just keep on going, and it goes really fast in terms of growing this number. And at the very end, it's going to cost you something like 16 million to actually buy the last level. So that's perfectly fine with me, and we now have a price value array. Let's actually create a quick public int, in this case, get price, and let's just say int level index. And all we got to do in here is return price value array at the index level index. Okay, so that was it for the small mistake I've made. Forgot to do that in the last episode, sorry about this. And now we can go back to our actual stat container. Inside our stat container, we're going to do instance.getPrice. We're going to get the price at the stat level, like so. So this is actually going to say the amount we need to pay, and then we can do plus gold. Then we swap line, so \n, and just type in level up or something like this. Close up the string, and we should now be good to go. Let's have an actual look at this in the game. So we're at level 16. If we click on this, it should actually do the leveling up, but as you can tell, at level 16, if we just have a look in our debug.log, it is actually 1925, and it says 1925 gold to level up, which is exactly what we are going for, so that's perfect. And we're pretty much almost done with this. Okay, the next thing we need is to actually code the little button. So the button does not work, and we need to actually create a function for the leveling up. Now the way we're going to do this is fairly simple. We are going to first create a private void level up function like this. And since again I don't want to go through the whole inspector, click on the add on the click event and all that good stuff, I want to do it in the code so I don't have to manually change it, and it's actually might cause mistakes on my end as well, so I'd rather just do it by code. And all we're going to do is say the tower.instance.towerStats at the index int stat. We're just going to say plus plus, right? And of course before that, let's put a comment if enough currency, which we don't have just yet, so we're not going to do the check. If enough currency, just go ahead and increment that value. and then we're going to update the text so we actually have some fresh values in every single text fields. And now something else we're going to be doing, if the stat, so if stat is equal to stat.hitpoint, or if stat is equal to stat.range, if it's one of those two that we're actually leveling up, then we also need to change the scale of the tower. So the tower.instance.rescale tower, which is not public. So let me just click on tower, hit F12. It's actually going to bring me over to my tower script, and it's not working, so we're just going to click on it. And somewhere in your tower script, the tower.cs, there is the rescale tower function, which I'm going to make public now. And we can go down here, say rescale tower. Alright, so we've coded our function for the level up, but it's not actually calling it when we press on the button. And the way we're going to do this is so we don't have to do it in the inspector, like I said. We are going to go in the start and say get component in children, a single component. We're going to get the only button that exists inside of that stat container. Then on click, add listener, and we're going to add the level up callback, like so. This way we just manually added our function, which is right here, to our button on click event. Alright, so let's actually give it a try. I'm going to go under the preloader, press play, touch the start, yep. Okay, so we're level 16. Assume that we have the gold, because right now we don't have any currency, so we're not making the check. So assume we have the gold, we click on this, it is now level 17, and we have 43 damage. And it just goes on and on and on and on, until it reaches, we don't have any limit just yet, but at one point we're going to set limit. And the reason I'm not saying right away, okay, so 200 is going to be the max, is because I don't want to have the max the same for everyone. So, say for the range, at one point I want the range to not be upgraded. So, say at level 50 the range should stop. Else it's going to give you some weird result with the height and the width of the tower. Okay, so now we can go back in the game and actually do some duplicate. So if we take our first container, the stat container, we hit Control D on this. All we have to do really is just go down here, change the stat to range. Now let's hit Control D again. This one is speed. Control D, this one is hit point. Control D, regen. Crit chance. Crit damage. And lock, like that. And everything should be made so we don't even have to touch anything. Touch to start, button, and as you can tell, we have a range of level 2, we have a speed of level 2, hit point of level 4, regen of 1, crit chance, and they all have good values. Even the speed, it actually has a good value. So we have 1 attack per second. We should have 1 attack per second now. And the range is smaller, so we gotta be waiting a little bit more. But as you can tell, this works. And the hit point, where's the hit point at? Oh, let me just start over. If we increase the hit point or the range, we should actually see a change in the size of the tower, as you can tell. It's actually now a cube because we have not leveled the range, but we have level HP quite a lot. And it's also incrementing the size of our plane below, but like I said before, this plane is actually going to go away really soon. You know what, we should actually remove it right now. So if we go on the preloader, let's actually remove the plane. And now we have a single tower by itself. Alright. And yeah, so that's going to be pretty much it. And you guys should be leveling range a little bit more so you don't end up with some kind of rectangle like this. Let me just try it out really quickly. Yeah, we actually grow in size. Alright, good, so that's going to be pretty much it for this episode, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you learned something. If you did, please leave me a like, really appreciate that. If you have any question or comment, you can also leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be glad to answer it as soon as possible. Other than that, just subscribe for more tutorials like these, and I will see you guys in the next episode.